video blog. So, I have studied intimately the breaking down of the wall of what is appropriate and not appropriate. And I studied the Roman bathhouses, and before Rome came in power, the Greeks were in power. And I wanted to know why all this unbelievable filth in sexuality, especially men. Because obviously it was a man who molested me as a child. So if it's a mistake with a female, I can accept that much easier than a mistake with a male. I have less tolerance, and rightfully so. So the Greek bathhouses were famous for not allowing women, and then they would do all these interpersonal massages. And then what did the Greeks do? They molested children, the adult men. They molested boys. And then the Romans carried it out in their bathhouses. The breakdown of the intimate wall. And they would break down this intimacy wall. And then the Romans did the same thing as the Greeks. They will molest little boys because they break down this barrier God created, that some things are not meant to be. Not everybody should work in every profession. And I went with Sam, who was a Muslim, because I would truly, with Vic, who grew up in the Middle East as well, and Paul, even Vic being sensitive, I understood his Middle Eastern roots, where gay people, they get terminated. And there's a zero tolerance. So even with Vic being more feminine male, I felt no threat, and I was never. And Vic used to hang out. He brought girls with him from the hair show to Baja Beach Club. He's married, has a family, so does Paul. And Vic's clientele is females because he's a more sensitive guy. He doesn't want male clients. And Vic isn't good with male clients. Paul cuts better hair, to be quite honest, and does a better job with male clients. But also, they don't cross the intimacy space. So Vic is very good with coloring women's hair and doing all this stuff, and is a much softer touch. And so he has a huge database of female clients. One of them was my friend, and he owned a guitar company in Mundelein, and his mother was his client, Carl Slosher, who was our punter. But again, and it's funny how my friend Pete did receivable insurance for them. But on another standpoint, and yes, credit card companies can work with receivable insurance companies, so we get a hedge against banks having 15% or greater losses, and so can annuity companies in a way. Well, no, life insurance companies. But annuity companies, no, it wouldn't work because they get all their money before they pay out. So life insurance companies might be more preferable for receivable insurance, or say disability companies, that you wouldn't get people terminate policies, but you can hedge those terminations and they would pay you some type of lump sum. But for them to work, they have to get industries that are more dependable, receivable insurance. They need to spread a risk. All they're doing is hedging your receivables, but they can't hedge the ones that don't pay if they don't have industries that pay. And this is why I'm against bankruptcy. Because a non-collateralized credit, people can stop paying or be late on payments. And it doesn't go to bankruptcy, the debt's there. But the receivable insurance can take over the debt. And they literally, it's a factoring. What does a receivable insurance do? They're buying it out from you. And the debt becomes theirs. That receivable becomes theirs. You execute the policy, they take over the bad debt, and then you get a certain percentage, usually about 60 cents on the dollar, which is quite high. 60 cents instead of most collections are 10 cents on a dollar. Oh yeah, collections in general are 10 cents on a dollar. So the receivable company knows that, so they're going to lose 50 cents, but they make it up from investing. Truly, they make it up from the market, and they make it up from companies that have very little defaults. That's why they need the Amexes of the world. It hedges MasterCard and Visa, which have higher rates of default, where they don't take people who go bankrupt. They don't take any poor credit risk. You need the Amexes of the world that have zero tolerance for poor credit. This allows you to hedge. And this offers people that have poor credit when they don't have it. Meaning when it's, they're in a shitty situation because of the pristine pool that they can do this. And so they can extend credit to people with poor credit because Amex has zero tolerance for any bankruptcies or any shitbags that miss payments. They terminate your fucking credit card immediately. They cut their losses instantly. And hence, you get a pristine pool. And that's why I hated Costco, and I advised them, truly, against getting rid of Amex and going to it. Stay with an incredibly pristine client pool. I have to use cash. I can't get an Amex, basically, and so I use debit, and it creates a diversification at Costco. Now they got too many people being accepted for credit, and now Costco as a franchise is much more risky because they went with the scumbag model. And this is where we went with the scumbag model as a nation. Instead of beating the shit out of the kid in the fucking Audi in front of me for disrespect, we go with the scumbag model. So we're a nation where they can break any rules whenever the fuck they want, however the fuck they want, and ask Mr. Hutzel and Mrs. Hutzel, how did that work with Adam not staying true? I used to hold the line for underage drinking. And there was a bar, and I was in high school that was in Highwood that allowed underage people to drink, and it was owned by the principal of Deerfield High School. I thought that was a fucking joke. That these kids would sneak in high school, and the principal of Deerfield fucking owned the bar. I thought that was a bunch of fucking bullshit. And what did it do? It cost us the state championship, and we were going to play Muller, literally the national championship in football. Because those kids went out drinking and drugging, and then we had Rossi, who drank and was smoking in high school, underage. He died of cancer. So you think acceptability, if they were fucking beat the fucking shit out of the fucking breaking motherfucking lawbreaker, Rossi would be alive today. I I think about all the people who have died of HIV and others because they didn't toe the line. And that's getting back to the Greek and Roman bathhouses. They break the line of intimacy. What is and what isn't. And men shouldn't cross the line with other men, and women shouldn't cross the line with other women. And we breach these gaps, and then we promote the LGBTQ. Because we think everybody can do everything. And it's not same. So it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. And this is the booming pedophilia. Because where it's a no-go. Like, there's a good guy. He was. I had one massage at Belly's. My sister bought me these things, and it was in the men's locker room. But I couldn't. Went once, and I terminated and didn't use the rest. It just expired. And then, just like at the Sears Tower, I went down for one with a guy, and I didn't go back. I've chosen women over and over again. And I've been forced into a male at one time in Vegas. And I can tolerate it for one session. And that's it. I go right back to the female. I don't accept it. I have a zero tolerance protocol. I don't allow it to breach my morals and ethics. I don't give a shit how much they cry and whine. I watch little kids manipulate everything with parents. Go to Psychology Today. Okay, I'll give it to you. Okay. Now I know. And then the next time, what do? You don't give it to them, they cry louder. And there you give it to them. And so we got all these babies in society that cry. And the government like, and the government's like, here you go, little baby. And then what does it say in Psychology Today? Now they know how they controlled you. You're no longer the boss. You're the sucker for them. Now they got you. And there's an article about children driving where the parents eat through whining. They haven't earned the right. And you explain that to them. I ate all my veggies and everything else. You give them freedom of choice. You got to teach them that freedom is earned. It is not given. And you shouldn't give it to people. And that's the problem with our legislators and that. They give it to them. And they grew up the same way. And so it breaks down your integrity. You're a sucker for Satan. They got you by the balls. What did Ted Bundy used to do? Go to the movie Hannibal with the cast. But you know who did that? And they probably took it from Ted Bundy, the writers, because he was a fake serial killer. But Ted Bundy used the cast. And women used to pick him up in the car. And they're like, oh. And most people are right-handed. Well, his was on the left side. His right hand was free. The cast was on the left arm. Why? When he sat in the passenger seat, it was spring-loaded. You know how much tension you can put on a spring? And the cast had the solid cover and a metal interior. And one release of the spring, and he did, and it would crush their skull instantly. And it was set up to go from his arm in the position of the cast, so it would hit their skull and kill them on impact. He had a fake cast, and the cast killed many females. And he would turn down males. He would be hitchhiking on the highway, and he would turn down males that offer him for a ride, waiting for a female to pull over. And when the female pulled over, he got in, and basically at a stop or a lull, or right once he got in before they started, he would just release it and kill him. He designed it, engineered it to kill with one blow, making sure he had a high IQ. He designed it understanding how to crush the bone and kill with one impact. Highly effective. So these people are very lethal. He systematically reduced his weight so he could fit between the bars to escape from where? The prison. You must force feed these people. They did that downtown as well. When they escaped through the window slots, they did with the bed sheet, but they also reduced the amount of calories they were taking in so they could get thinner, so they could fit through the slot. They did exactly what Ted Bundy did. There's a reason why in prison you make sure they eat their food and they're maintaining their body weight. Because these individuals do it for a certain thing. Or it could go the other way. They're putting on too much muscle mass. And they become a threat to you. They can overpower the guards. So it's a balancing act. You have to understand the biology. But I study all this. And we think everything's acceptable. The University of Arizona coach, and he wasn't a pervert, but he used to slap the girls on their butt. You know, when they're going out from the dugout, go get them. He won many championships in that. But the girls eventually, how do you say, went after him for inappropriate touch. But he wasn't caressing their butt or anything else. But the thing is, he shouldn't have been hitting them on the butt. You can hit them on the shoulder. You can hit them on the back. Truly, these forms of congratulations or go get them. So what was appropriate before is not appropriate now. And he was a great coach, and he got his career damaged because that's how he grew up. And it was acceptable. Well, there were no women's sports. Like Bella Caroli got in trouble as well. And he was a great coach. But you have to set these parameters, and you bring in an assistant female, and they can do those work. The trade-off. And yes, I know, but I'd rather have a male bond to a female than a male bond to a male. So when they say the lesser of two evils, and so some things I tolerate because I'd rather have that than the alternative, which is incredibly deadly. So I accept the sexual harassment. And females should understand this. And it's a part of doing things, and they have to learn how to overcome. That's a life challenge upon them. If we take that away, then we get the alternative, a booming LGBTQ community. And that is unacceptable to God. So there are lines you never breach, and you accept the other evil. It's a trade-off. So you don't breach. So there are some things, and this is what I hated about libs. Everybody can do everything. Well, then you breach these integrity barriers. And when you breach them, you get not only the one evil, you get all the evil. Because the liberals accept everything. They accept it on that side, and they accept it on that side. And what happens? Society becomes incredibly filthy and disgusting. Now all evils are good. And that's what we've been having. But it's all acceptable. And so we break down all the barriers and we accept all this fucking shit. And they listen, oh, wah, wah. I'll really give you something to fucking cry about. I'll starve you to death. So, politicians are fucking pieces of shit. And that's why I hated Obama, and he was the one that watched the polling more than any. He blew in the wind. They're a bunch of fucking babies. And Pete said it right. The masses are asses. That's why in heaven, there's only a monarchy. There is no voting. There is one thing, it goes, and if anyone else doesn't like it, they burn. There is no complaining. There is no debates. It is the iron fist. So we have to stop going with these fucking babies. And they have to man up and get over it. So teach them how to be a man, how to be a woman who overcomes challenges. That's the point of adulthood. The black people are pieces of shit. They allow bums. And as you see, they go bankrupt on their debt right away. They fucking file racial suits right away. They'll slaughter you right away. They'll kill you. They'll rob from you. They'll steal. They have no barriers. It is an anything goes society. The down under, which I didn't know, all the bisexual fucking black men. And I found out it was huge. They're a society of total fucking filth. It's an anything goes society. The hair, everything, the piercing, the tattoo, they fucking take it all. The pants hanging off their ass. The fucking Jamie Foxx. I hated that scene in the movie Django Down Under. Fucking showing his fucking penis. Like on the stage, the Silk Road, and the guy stood up and fucking... I wanted to go up on stage and beat the fuck out of him. So there's some things that we don't breach. But you keep on breaching. It's like the illegals. They're starving. Well, who the fuck cares in that sense? You either come in righteously or you starve. It causes reform. But the thing in North Korea, the problem was we had no intel. Shame on our military. Shame on the CIA. Shame on MI5, the British intelligence, and others, that we didn't know that these great humanitarian things were going on because it was in a vacuum. They didn't know about the 3-generation camp until the kid escaped. That's a failure of intelligence. And we could have negotiated and had South Korea and others, China and South Korea, putting pressure on them to negotiate and stop the humanitarian crises. And what do? You allow North Koreans to go in China to get Miss Park situations, highly exploited. So it always, the refugees and the war is okay, the displacements are okay, everything is okay. I agreed with Trump, send them fucking back. I agreed with Juliana, who was trying to get Iraqis to resettle. I agreed with Israel's resettlement. We need to start balancing the equation. I believe in strong sovereign borders. I believe that each country must make sure the people that enter their country are beneficial to their country. And if you're not going to be a benefactor, tourists are benefactors. Medical tourists, educational tourists, business tourists. They come to benefit that society. If you're not a benefactor, you shouldn't fucking be here.